Adrian, do you hear me? Test, test. Adrian. Looks like your microphone's off, Adrian. Test, test. Adrian. I don't think Adrian is hearing me. Test, test. Test, test. Adrian, do you hear me?
I do. You coming through loud and clear.
Adrian, can you confirm if you hear me or not?
Yes, I can. I can hear you just fine. Check. 3.
The regular meeting of the Aurora City Council for Monday, August 22nd, 2022 is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Here.
Councilmember Coombs.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner.
Here.
Councilmember Drinsky.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Marcano.
Present.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Mario.
Present.
Councilmember Stenberg.
Here.
And Councilmember Zvonek.
Here.
Announcement of the public call-in line.
Good evening. City Council welcomes feedback from the public on both matters appearing on the agenda and during public invited to be heard. If you would like to speak and have not already spoken to an operator, please press *3. For those watching on Channel 8, call 855-695-3475 and press *3 when connected. You will hear a prompt confirming you are in line to speak to an operator and then be able to continue listening to the meeting. When the operator comes on the line, please be ready to give them your name and the agenda item you wish to speak on. Keep in mind you must press *3 before the city clerk reads the title of any item you are wishing to speak on. As a reminder, Council does not allow comments about any items on the agenda during public invited to be heard, and each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. Thank you.
El Consejo Municipal de la Ciudad de Aurora da la bienvenida a la opinión de sus habitantes
y a otros vecinos en asuntos comparecientes en la agenda y durante la invitación a la audiencia pública. Por favor, llame al número de teléfono 877-820-7831 y al conectarse ingrese el código 254610 seguido de la tecla numeral. De allí espera para hablar con la persona que al llegar su turno interpretará su comentario en inglés. La operadora tomará su nombre y el asunto a presentar ante el consejo y le pondrá en espera. Las personas han de esperar al anuncio de la invitación a la audiencia pública o hasta que se les ceda tiempo para tratar un tema específicamente en la agenda de hoy y al ser llamado por el funcionario encargado. Va a depender del volumen de llamadas para que se conecte con la operadora, así que por favor sea paciente y permanezca en la línea. Si usted no está en la fila de llamadas al momento que se le invita a escuchar al público, se le colocará en espera para la última invitación para comentario público. Finalmente, recuerde que el Consejo no permite comentarios en ninguno de los asuntos en la agenda durante la invitación para escuchar al público. Gracias.
Invocation. Please join me in the invocation. O Lord, our God and our Father, we come to you and we ask that you would look upon this particular gathering tonight and guide us in our decisions. Bless our city with honorable industry, sound education, and good government. Unite the community together. Even though we come from different backgrounds, we pray that there be justice and peace in our city. Give our council wisdom, direction, and sensitivity to the business and proceedings before us tonight. Hear us, therefore, as we commit this meeting to the health of this community. Amen. The City of Aurora acknowledges that we gather on the territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Ute, Arapaho, and Lakota peoples, past and present. We also recognize the 48 contemporary tribal nations that are historically tied to the lands that make up the state of Colorado. Indigenous people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties that these nations have to their traditional homelands and to their vital place in the ecosystem are renewed and reaffirmed, and we are called to be better stewards of the land we inhabit, and we continue to work to meet the needs of our entire community. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Executive session update. During executive session, there were discussions of litigation and land acquisition. Approval of the minutes for August 8, 2022. Motion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Sundberg.
I move to approve the minutes.
It's been moved by Councilmember Sundberg, seconded by?
Bergen.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bergen to approve the minutes of August 8, 2022. Discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Murillo.
Thank you. I do have two changes on agenda item 12B and 12C. So 12B and 12C, it shows that I was absent. I just had a technological issue. I was participating and listening, and I put it in the chat directly to the host. So I just wanted to rectify the voting record, if that's okay.
Very well.
So 12B should be a no vote for me, and 12C should have been a yes vote. It doesn't change the outcome, to be clear, of the vote, but just wanted the record to reflect the.
Question of the city attorney. Can you go, what is the appropriate thing to do?
Since it's in the record and in the minutes, that's appropriate.
Very well. Further discussion? Seeing none, call for the question on, does it require a second for Councilmember Murillo, or is it just?
So it's a motion, so motions require a second.
Okay, very well. Was moved, an amendment was moved by Councilmember Murillo, seconded by?
Second.
Councilmember McConnell. on 6A. Do we have to vote on that? No. Okay, no. Very well. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the minutes as amended for August 8, 2022. Call for the question.
Mayor Kaufman,
Mayor votes yes.
the motion passes to adopt the August 8th council minutes with the amendments.
A swearing-in ceremony, Chief Judge Sean Day.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. It's my great honor to swear in one of our new assistant city attorneys, Steve Can. So, Steve, if you'll please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Steve Can, having been duly appointed by the City Council of the City of Aurora as an assistant city attorney for the City of Aurora, Colorado, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully and impartially administer the affairs of such office in accordance with the constitutions of the United States of America and of the state of Colorado, and the charter and ordinances of the City of Aurora, to the best of my judgment and ability. So help me God. Congratulations and welcome.
I believe Animal Services has a four-legged resident that they want to show us. Am I correct in that? Correct. Okay. Where is it? Oh, wow. Yeah. Do you accept trade-ins? I don't know. I shouldn't say.
All right.
Or a Mookie.
Okay, so I'm Nicole. I'm with the Aurora Animal Shelter. We are here to talk a little bit about what we've got going on this month. So this month, in collaboration with Councilmember Durinsky, we do have an adoption special going on where all of our dogs and cats over 6 months of age are actually half-priced adoption fees, included in that being the city license as well. A big part of why we're doing this is because summer is such a busy season for us at the shelters. Our shelter, as well as most of the other in the Denver metro area, have seen a big influx in the dogs that are out there. So if you're considering adopting, now is a great time. There's lots of them looking for homes, including this big lovable lug, the one you can't see right now, not the tall guy. But he is actually only about 6 months old, and him and his sibling came into us together. They weigh 70 pounds currently, so we think they're going to be quite big babies. But big, small, whatever you're looking for, we've got something to fit the bill. So if you're thinking about adopting, now is a great time. A lot of the shelters could really use a little bit more of the love. Thank you.
We love him. I just adopted a dog 2 weeks ago, so I think I can't take him home.
All right, thank you very much. I think that dog's going to go quick. Public invited to be heard.
Mayor, we do have a few individuals in person and on the call-in line.
Very well.
The first person is Tricia Balani, followed by Mark Bajowski.
Hi, Council. My name is Tricia Balani. I am an Aurora resident. I'm a senior at Eagle Crest High School, and I'm here to speak about the Aurora Police Department's crisis response team and why its clinicians should be adopted into the city's budget as well as expanded and further supported. The summer of 2020 showed us that there's a dire need for police reform, and while the nationwide protests during that time focused on police brutality and racial injustice, they also exposed the need to make structural changes beyond that. We also need the public to regain trust in Aurora Police after events like those, and also mediate a generally souring attitude towards law enforcement. This cannot change overnight, but supporting CRT is one of the small changes that we can make for a better tomorrow and more united tomorrow for Aurora and its people. These issues are precisely why the CRT should be integrated into the city's budget and expanded by adding additional clinicians. Under its current grant funding, the team is not as sustainable as it could be because it has to reapply for its grant each year, which means there's always a risk of losing that very important funding. And while we can all acknowledge the noble intent that this team was created under, the proof of its success mostly lies in the numbers. In 2021, CRT answered 996 calls, which comes to an average of about 81 calls per month. Of those 996 calls, 45% were resolved on scene, and only 13 total were sent to jail or arrest, which is one of the biggest reasons why people in crisis are afraid to call the police. In addition to supporting people's mental health emergencies, one of CRT's main purposes is relieving the police department. The sheer volume of calls that police receive every day makes it virtually impossible to properly assess delicate situations like mental health emergencies, which generally require more time and certainly require the right people with the right kind of training. Last year, CRT generated cost savings of about $640,000, which came from a combination of relieving the police department and avoiding emergency department visits. If the city is able to fund 2 additional clinicians, for example, this could amount to $1.2 million in savings. For comparison, that's almost double what it would cost to fund 4 clinicians with all the necessary equipment, including new vehicles, which would cost about $640,000 to support all of that. In the long run, CRT is saving money with expansion, it's able to go to more calls, which means it's saving more money and further relieving the police and emergency departments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mark, followed by Robbie DeYoung. Okay, Robbie, you're up.
Mayor, council members, you haven't seen me for a while. I've had some physical problems going on, but I'm here now. Things haven't changed since the last time I was here, and I'm extremely disappointed. I was thinking that by now there'd be more of a conscious effort to make it so that when people have their vehicle vandalized or stolen, they can call into the police and not wait hours to get a return call from the police. That's ridiculous. People are losing their livelihood because they don't have their vehicle anymore. When I first started my group on Nextdoor, Stolen and Vandalized Vehicles in Aurora, I started out, within a month, I probably had over 100 members. Many months later, I now have 852. And that's just of the people that have contacted me. That doesn't mean that that's the only people in Aurora that it's affected. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of us that are not happy. We want to be able to call the police department and get a response. I don't blame our officers. Not in the least do I blame our officers. When our officers go out, make an arrest, and then they get into the court system, and there's this little turnstile that just goes spinning around and around and around, and the criminals are let go just to go out and steal again. Something has to be done. Something has to be done to send a message. I know that you've got a program that's going to be coming up and be working really well here pretty soon. But until then, we need to do something. Our people, our officers have to feel like they're being backed. And our residents need to feel, our constituents, all of them, no matter what side of the party line they're on, all of them have to be heard and have to be to feel like they are the ones that take priority over the criminal. There's some here that look at it just the opposite. And I'm really, really disappointed in what is going on. I want to see more effort to make sure that there was a gentleman I talked to just yesterday. He waited over 4 hours after he called in to dispatch to have them put his vehicle on the list as being stolen. 4 hours. I went and checked on a truck that somebody had told me about that was abandoned. It didn't look like it was stolen because the door lock and the ignition were still intact, but
Robbie,
you could
you've
tell
reached your
it
3
had been
minutes.
stolen.
Thank you.
That was somebody's livelihood. That was their work truck.
Thank you.
Omen Cross, followed by Eric Reike.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all again. You guys know me. You guys know me, right? My name's Owen Cross. I was here a few months ago. Now, in the time since we last saw each other, I've been a little busy, sorry. I finally got housed 6 years on the streets in this very city. And now, today, I can go home to my own bed. And that's because of people and agencies inside this city and surrounding it that made that happen. Now, tonight, I don't know how many people read the paper, but I came for a couple of reasons. You know one. We've been talking about it. You know what I want. So tonight, I'm going to come up with 2 different presentations. One that's positive, that I believe is something this city can use to benefit itself and to bring hope to people that seem to be losing it every single day. And the other one is more an example of what it's like to deal with me when you say things you shouldn't. So I'm not going to be mean, because I don't want to be. I'm in a happy place now. But I just wanted to come up here and say thank you to the people that actually made this happen, and to the people that keep seeing money thrown around and not seeing any results. There are actually miracles happening in this city. They just aren't being spoken about as often as they should be. Thank you.
Okay, Eric Reike.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. Here tonight to address some concerns that I have as a independent business owner that does work within the city of Aurora. There has been a lot of scrutiny put on the police department. I think that scrutiny needs to be carried over into other departments. The department that we deal with most closely is the stormwater people. I'm tired of the negative attitudes that we get from them. I don't need my people being talked down to. They put their pants on the same way that they do, one leg at a time. You know, we're doing a project out at the Seam site. There's 2 ways that you can install a silt fence. 1, with wood posts, 2, with metal T-posts. The project already had silt fence installed with wood posts. We were forced to use T-posts on the same site. And there's no reason for that. No reasoning was given at all. The other concern I have is another project that we did over near the Aurora Highlands. We got told, me personally, by one of the inspectors, well, if you had done this correctly the first time, it wouldn't be a problem. And I said to the gentleman, you realize that we seeded this native grass seed in the middle of July. The ground was as hard as the asphalt is in the parking lot of this building. Well, you should have put water on it. What? You want me to go and water 10 acres with the most precious and valuable resource that we have when there's no rain, there's minimal wind, it's out in the middle of a wheat field, basically is where this was at. Then on another project that's over at Peoria and 14th, I believe it is, it was next to a school over there. It had been bare forever. We went in and put silt fence in around that project, and we didn't get it right up against the sidewalk because they had already set up the chain link fence around it. We were forced to remove the silt fence. They were forced to remove all their chain link fence and put it inside of the site. That's fine and well, but that site sat bare with prairie dogs all over it for I don't know how long before we even got there. And that's not right. That is to me, a power trip. And again, everybody puts their pants on the same way that we all do, one leg at a time. Just because you work for the city of Aurora doesn't mean that you have any more hierarchy or power. And you don't need to talk down to the people that are working within your city. Because I'll tell you what happens, you start getting percentages added. And it's called a city of whatever fee.
You've reached your 3 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then we do have one individual on the call-in line.
Yeah, I think it was one of his Facebook pages post. He said that he would read it occasionally. Well, I would like to ask that it gets reconsidered and incorporate the land acknowledgement into every meeting of the Aurora City Council. Land acknowledgements are read at every city council meeting in Denver and in Longmont, preceding every meeting of the Posner Center for International Development, and also at every meeting of Visit Durango, Colorado. It's also read at many universities, including the University of Boulder, the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, the University of Colorado, Denver, Colorado State University, Adams State University, Metro State University, Colorado College, Arapahoe Community College, Fort Lewis College, at the Farmer Lake Theater Company Productions, and are posted on the websites of the Arvada Center, the City of Boulder, the Colorado Virtual Library, the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak Region, and the Winter Park Resort. And if you're not willing to bring it back and read it at every city council meeting, the least you can do is post it on the city's website. Thank you.
That's all we have for public invited to be heard.
Katie, for that small business owner, if you could forward me the information,
Okay.
contact information.
Okay.
The next question before us is the adoption of the agenda.
Mayor, I'm sorry, we have 8A, which is kind of separate from public invited to be heard. If we can recognize Greg Hayes, and then we do have 2 public comments on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Public invited, item number 8A, public invited to be heard on the 2023 budget. Greg Hayes, Budget Officer.
Here to take notes, sir.
Is there a public invited to be heard?
Yes, we do. Omen Cross.
Okay, so item number 1. This is the fun one. I like this one. So I've been talking to Councilman Marcano for about a week or so now. After what happened to me, I have a belief, because I've been talking to people all over the city, Uber drivers, people at homeless centers, people at bus stops, just everywhere. And it sounds like the one thing that the people of Aurora sorely lack is real, actual, tangible hope in their hearts. Not for one person, not for the council specifically, just hope. And I have a way that I've come up with, not only to make that something that the city can recognize, but something that the city itself can make some money off of. And I've given some basic details to Councilman Marcano. He's got people working on crunching the numbers, but it should cost a whole lot less than it seems like maybe spent tonight just to recruit police officers from other states. So if it's something that can actually help people, if it's something that can actually reward people for doing the right thing instead of constantly looking down their noses at people and doing the wrong thing, then I think it's something that the council should actually strive for. And I don't know if I'm right or not. I've heard this council has never commissioned an award before. So I want it to happen. Something that this council can use to solidify its legacy and the people can use to give them something to hope for a change. So if you want to know the details, talk to him. He's already got them. Thank you.
And we have one person on the call-in line.
Arnie, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Mayor Kaufman, members of City Council, my name is Arnie Schultz, and I live in Aurora. And I would like to request additional funding for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which was created in January of 2020 to lead the City of Aurora in building, creating, and maintaining a more equitable and inclusive city by systemically and strategically facilitating the integration of greater representation, fairness, belonging, and care into the city's policies, procedures, and practices. As you know, we are the most diverse city in Colorado, and we are also a majority minority city. The City of Aurora contract with Griffin and Strong for disparity study, which will provide a factual basis for determining whether there are equal opportunities for all firms or businesses in the procurement process and the support they need, if any, for race or gender conscious remedial procurement programs. This study will review city spending from the fiscal year 2018 through 2021. The projected completion date for the entire study is March 2023. The Office of DEI will need additional funds to implement and monitor identified remedial procurement programs, which I'm sure will be found. I would also like to request additional funding for community development activities, which target a wide range of issues from basic needs such as availability of affordable housing for families and individuals to overall community quality of life issues such as the reduction or elimination of blighted influences in original Aurora, which is the city's historical business and residential district. In addition, community development addresses economic opportunities within the community, the provision of support services for all residents, and the prevention of homelessness. The city needs to spend more money on affordable housing, rent relief, eviction protection, prevention, funding mental health agencies whose scope of services includes working with the unhoused. Part of the reason people are struggling is that the minimum wage in Aurora is only $12.56 an hour. And the lowest cost for a one-bedroom apartment is about $1,000 a month. There are only 2 apartment buildings in Aurora that have studio apartments for under $1,000 a month. I called them, and they said I would have to earn at least twice the cost of rent.
Arnie, you
that
have
means a single.
your 3 minutes are up, Arnie.
That means a single minimum wage worker in Aurora has to work about 159 hours a month, or about 4.
Mayor, that was the last person.
Question before us now is the adoption of the agenda motion.
Mayor.
Councilmember Jernsky?
Oh, I'm
sorry.
I would like to pull something. Do I need to wait for the motion first? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, did you want to comment on one of the speakers?
No, the adoption of the agenda. I'll make the motion.
No, I think you can do that when that issue comes up. When you're. Well, you have 2 choices on that. You can either address the issue when that agenda item comes up, or you can pull it from the agenda.
Point of order.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think if we have a motion to approve the agenda and a second, then Councilmember Jurenski can just then amend it.
Very well. Motion to approve the agenda.
Zvonik.
It's been moved by Councilmember Zvonik, seconded by
Sundberg.
Councilmember Sundberg. Discussion. Councilmember Jurenski.
Okay. So I would like to pull item 14A, and I have something I would like to say about that, if you don't mind.
Please proceed.
Okay. So I do understand that retail theft is a complex issue and that there are other issues involved with that and what our businesses in Aurora are struggling with. And I just want to work a little bit closer with law enforcement, Aurora's retail businesses, and the Office of the City Attorney to consider further measures to combat retail theft, but also other things that go along with that and other things that are impacting businesses in this city. There's a great importance of reducing retail theft in Aurora. I think that we were told from one loss prevention of a specific company that their Aurora store is first in the nation for retail theft. So I do plan to bring forward a more comprehensive ordinance. In fact, I'm going to build on this ordinance. I'm going to strengthen this ordinance, and I will have it at the Public Safety Policy Committee on September 8th, and it will go straight to council after that.
Thank you. Further discussion on the adoption of the agenda as amended? Very well. The question before us then is the adoption of the agenda, item number 9. Call for the question.
Mayor Kaufman.
Mayor votes yes.
The motion passes to adopt the agenda.
Item number 10, consent calendar. Motion to approve item number 10A through 10F of the consent calendar.
Mayor, motion to approve items 10A through.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by
Bergen.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen to approve the consent calendar item number 10A through 10F. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the consent calendar item number 10A through 10F. Call for the question.
Mayor Kaufman.
Mayor votes yes.
The motion passes to adopt the consent calendar.
Would clerk now please read the title to item number 11A?
Item 11A is Resolution 2022-158, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing the Aurora City Council support of the IGA between the City of Aurora, Colorado, acting by and through its utility enterprise, and the Urban Drainage and Flood Control District, Mile High Flood District regarding major drainage way planning and flood hazard delineation for Prairie Dog Draw and tributaries.
A brief presentation by staff.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Suvin Yarenda, and I'm the Planning Services Manager in Aurora Water. And I'll be here talking about the Prairie Dog Draw. Now, the Prairie Dog Draw is a drainage basin that's out in the northeastern area of the city. And it's basically undeveloped. And we're seeing a lot of development going on around the Prairie Dog Draw. We have never studied this drainage basin before. So what this study is going to do, what this MDP, which is Master Drainage Plan, what it's going to do is study the hydrology in this basin, and basically what we'll come up with from the study is any infrastructure that's necessary to provide efficient stormwater drainage and protection and stream stability. And those projects identified from this study will be included in the city's planning, capital improvement planning. And then the second part of this study is to establish, it's called the flood hazard area delineation, which is basically to establish a floodplain, map out the floodplain in that area. And since this hasn't been done before and there's development going around, we just wanted to get ahead of the development so that we could actually be prepared when development actually hits Prairie Dog Draw. So the cost for the study is $200,000 in total, And these costs will be borne by the district, the Mile High Flood District, and the city on a 50% basis. So the cost to the city will be $100,000.
Questions of staff?
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem.
You said the cost was $200,000, and I thought the agreement said $350,000. Is that an old agreement?
Let me check on that, but I think it should be $200,000, but I'll get back with you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions of staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Mayor, motion to approve item 11A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Jurenski, seconded by
Mayor, second.
Councilmember Lawson to approve item number 11A. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11A. Call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem, we need your vote. The motion passes unanimously to approve Resolution 2022-158.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 11B?
Item 11B is Resolution 2022-159, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing the Aurora City Council support of the IGA between the City of Aurora, Colorado, acting by and through its utility enterprise, the Urban Drainage and Flood Control District, Mile High Flood District, and the Southeast Stormwater Metro Authority regarding major drainage planning for West Tollgate Creek tributaries.
Brief presentation by staff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is again another MDP that we're doing, and this is an update to an existing MDP. Generally, what we like to do is study the developed areas in the city every 10 years just to update land use and stormwater behavior in the basin. So this study is going to be mainly concentrating on the West Tollgate tributaries, and West Tollgate really runs from about here, 2nd and Chambers, all the way down to Smoky Hill, so it's a major part of the city. And the drainage, the MDP is we're going to look at how over time the tributaries are behaving and their stability, and if we need to do any more work to protect the streams, protect property, that kind of thing. So the cost for this study is going to be again $200,000, and it's going to be conducted by the district. However, SEMSWA also contributes some flows in West Tollgate. So the district will pay $100,000, Aurora will pay $80,000, and SEMSWA will pay $20,000 because they only have about 20% contributing flows.
Questions of staff?
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem.
On this one, you said this is a follow-up study that you do every 10 years or so. So the initial study did not, I guess, indicate any potential problems that this study needed to happen? I'm just making sure that we're not just doing studies for the sake of studies to pay consultants.
Mayor Pro Tem, on that one, what happens that once we put in stormwater infrastructure over time, so sometimes we execute the projects exactly how the study was, and then other times we also optimize those projects during the design phase, so things change. So it's just a good practice and a rule of thumb that every 10 years you go back and you study how the area is behaving to see if there are any deficiencies that arise from any land use changes or any other thing that has happened in the interim.
Okay, thank you very much.
Further questions of staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to approve 11B.
It's moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by?
Coombs.
Seconded by Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 11B. Discussion? Seeing no discussion of the question before us is the adoption of item number 11B. Call for the question.
Councilmember Coombs, we need your vote. The motion passes unanimously to approve Resolution 2022-159.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 11C.
Item 11C is Resolution 2022-160, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing the Aurora City Council support of an IGA between the City of Aurora, Colorado, acting by and through its utility enterprise, and the City of County of Denver regarding the Strontia Springs Watershed Sediment Management Program.
Brief presentation by staff.
Good evening. Alexandra Davis, Deputy Director of Water Resources. I will make this very brief, but I'm very happy to answer any more questions. I know you often have a long evening ahead of you, but since we got to talk about this a little bit previously, I'm going to make it very short, and if there's anything you want to go into in more detail, do let me know. 11C is an IGA with Denver Water. This agreement will allow Denver and Aurora Water to work together to mitigate the ongoing impacts from the Hayman Creek Fire and the Buffalo Creek Fire above Strontia Springs Reservoir, which is one of our critical pieces of infrastructure. This total estimated cost over the 5-year term of this agreement is $2.5 million. Aurora's portion will be prorated at 15.73%. The total not to exceed amount for Aurora Water to spend in the context of this agreement and on these watershed health projects is $393,250. Denver Water will invoice us quarterly based on actual expense, and the IGA will be reevaluated at the end of 5 years.
Questions of staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by
Murillo.
Councilmember Murillo to approve item number 11C. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11C. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to approve Resolution 2022-160.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 11D.
Item 11D is Resolution 2022-161, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing the Aurora City Council's approval of the IGA between the City of Aurora, acting by and through its utility enterprise, and the United States Department of Agriculture, Forest Service, Rocky Mountain Region, and the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System, acting by and through Colorado State University for the use and benefit of the Colorado State Forest Service.
Brief presentation by staff.
Yes. Thank you again, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this IGA is to partner with the U.S. Forest Service and the Colorado State Forest Service to determine the IGA creates a framework for us to determine a variety of projects that we can engage with them in partnership in order to improve ecological health and resiliency in the forests that are responsible for much of our water supply. There is no cost associated with this agreement. This agreement sets the framework. Any project and the cost associated with that particular project will be brought back to council at the time that that project is determined and that we recommend it's a good project to go.
Questions of staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor,
Councilmember Lawson.
I move to approve 11D.
It's been moved by Councilmember Lawson, seconded by
Sundberg.
Seconded by Councilmember Sundberg to approve item number 11D. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the adoption of item number 11D.
Mayor Pro Tem, we need your vote.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-161.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 11E.
Item 11E is Resolution 2022-162, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, in support of enhanced design guidelines for installation of chase drains as part of new development in Aurora.
Brief presentation by staff.
And Mayor, we do
Oh,
have
sorry.
one individual on the call-in line for public
Oh,
comment.
very well. Proceed with the call in line.
Okay, Jeff, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead. Jeff, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Mayor. Hello, Council. It's Jeff Brown. I live at an Inspiration 23604 East Minnow Drive, one of the most severely impacted streets by this icing issue that's caused by, frankly, a horrible loophole, a bone-breaking loophole in the building code. I'd like to offer just a couple of recommendations. I'm not opposed to this piece of legislation, but I do want to make 2 recommendations and ask a question. First, the recommendation: this needs to be matched with a measure to deal with the 150 to 900 families that have been impacted by, frankly, this shoddy drainage design. The city is culpable in aiding the builders in denying the homeowners a fair and reasonable inspection for safety, and that hasn't been addressed yet. Second, there needs to be some disclosure at the time a buyer purchases a home in Aurora, if this goes through, that they're not getting a complete inspection and they're not assured a safe sidewalk, that they may have to jump through hoops to get their sidewalk fixed under this proposed plan. Finally, I'd like to ask that one of the council members ask the city attorney to explain how this insulates the engineers who work for the city from additional claims of criminal reckless endangerment as defined by the statute. Thank you. That's all.
Is there further public invited to be heard?
No.
Brief presentation by staff.
Mayor, I just want to introduce my ordinance, my resolution.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I sponsored this particular chase drain resolution, and in light of some of the issues that we have had in the last few years in Southeast Aurora with drainage. So the purpose behind this is to basically to help future homeowners and holding the developers to a 1-year warranty should any drainage issues arise. We have found that a lot of times those issues do not present themselves at the time of building. So this will give homeowners that 1-year warranty to be able to present any issues, and then the builder would have to put in a chase drain. This also makes changes to the roadway maintenance or the manual. And I will say that any changes in the grading by the homeowner then would void that particular warranty. So anyway, this is just one step. We are also looking at xeriscaping to also help our current residents with some of the issues that they're facing.
Questions of the Mayor Pro Tem or staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Mayor Pro Tem.
I guess it's me. Motion to approve 11A, please.
It's been moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by?
Coombs. 11E.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by?
Coombs.
Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 11E. Discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11E. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to approve Resolution 2022-162.
With code now, I understand that item number 11 through H, that staff will give the same presentation for all three. Would the clerk please read the title to item number 11F?
Item 11F is Resolution 2022-163, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, approving the IGA between Arapahoe County and the City of Aurora for the coordinated election to be held November 8th, 2022.
Brief presentation by staff
Yes.
covering all three.
Yes, Katie Rodriguez, City Clerk. City Council approved Ordinance 2022-33 to refer a charter amendment to a vote of the registered electors. This referred measure would be to amend the city charter for the qualifications for elective office by replacing felony with embezzlement of public money, bribery, perjury, solicitation of bribery, or subordination of perjury. These three resolutions and IGAs are to coordinate with each county to conduct a special municipal election in conjunction with the November 2022 general election. These IGAs are required by state law, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions of staff on 11F, 11G, or 11H? Seeing none, then the question before us is the adoption of item number 11F. Motion is in order.
Mayor.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, sir. Move to approve 11F.
Moved by Councilmember McConnell, seconded by?
Mayor, second.
Seconded by Councilmember Lawson to approve item number 11F. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11F. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-163.
Motion is in order on item number 11G.
Mayor, motion to approve item 11G.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by
Jurenski.
Councilmember Jurenski to approve item number 11G. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11G. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-164.
Motion is in order on item number 11H.
Mayor, motion to approve item 11H.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by
Jurenski.
Councilmember Jurenski to approve item number 11H. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 11H. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-165.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 11I.
Item 11I is Resolution 2022-166, a resolution from the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing the Aurora City Council's desire to initiate a public education campaign to stop panhandling by encouraging donations to local charities instead of donating money to people on the street. And Mayor, we do have two individuals who would like to comment on this.
Very well, proceed with the comment.
Okay. Omen Kraus.
Now, we know now I made it to a home, but I was on the street for 6 years. I had jobs. I used my GI Bill for a year and went to school, but there were periods of time in between. Sometimes my significant other and I had to stand on the corner and panhandle. One time, I even almost got assaulted by a guy for standing out in what I had left of my military uniform while I was panhandling. But I'm pretty sure the city and the state already tax people enough. It's not really this council nor any other person's right to tell somebody what to do with the money in their pocket. If you choose to give $20 to a homeless person on a corner, that's your choice. It shouldn't be mandated by anybody else what you do with your money. Now, I'm not saying charity shouldn't be donated to. That's ridiculous. Charity is what got me off the street in the first place. But I also should say that these signs, they're a bad idea. Because if your buildings are already being defaced by people that don't like you, what do you think they're going to do to the signs? And worst case scenario, what if one of those signs on an intersection gets thrown into traffic, picked up by a tire, thrown into somebody's windshield? Who becomes liable if somebody dies? Because of a sign that this council decided they needed to tell people, don't be kind to each other. Just donate to the people we tell you to. I don't think that's the way this council should be spending its money. Because you don't have the right to tell anybody don't be kind, just like I don't have that right. Thank you.
Mayor, we do have one more person on the call-in line.
Ernie, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
This is Arnie Schultz, and I think this agenda item was poorly planned out. The city is talking about a total cost of $29,440, and the city spoke to Salt Lake City and found they were bringing in about $5,000 a year. And what I found out included that the Downtown Alliance raised $25,000 privately the first year. The program called Homeless Outreach Service Team host. Businesses agree to host a parking meter, and they have to pay $500 to install it, plus a minimum donation of $1,000. We don't have any parking meters. In 2005, Utah officials adopted a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness using the Housing First model, a deceptively straightforward approach that calls for tackling the problem by putting homeless individuals in homes. Houston has an anti-panhandling media campaign involving TV, radio, print, and social media ads, street signage, billboards, and a way to donate to service organizations via text or online giving. The campaign is being funded by 15 management districts, which have lots of money. They urge residents to help bring about meaningful change by donating their spare change directly to organizations that provide the services. They do not get very many donations. During the last decade, Houston, the nation's fourth most populous city, has moved more than 25,000 homeless people directly into apartments and houses through a Housing First model. The overwhelming majority of them have remained housed after 2 years. The number of people deemed homeless in the Houston region has been cut by 63% since 2011. Today, a streamlined process means the wait for housing is only 32 days. I also spoke to Tara Perez, the Directions home manager in Fort Worth Neighborhood Services. They have a program called Better Way to Offer Change that they began in 2018. It's publicized on the websites of the city and the Tarrant County Homeless Coalition, through ads on the city's buses, through flyers and media. And she said in about 4 years, they have raised essentially no donations.
Your 3 minutes
We
are
need
up.
to work on the...
That was the last person.
Councilmember Sundberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Very simply put, we'd like to introduce a public education campaign to inform the public it is better to give to organizations that support the homeless and those in need rather than giving to panhandlers directly. I first learned of campaigns such as this from Denver Mayor Hickenlooper back in 2005, if you can remember. It was called Denver's Road Home, and in just 2 years, Denver boasted that they cut panhandling activity, especially on the 16th Street Mall, by 92%. Other Democrat mayors across the nation, such as New York Mayor Eric Adams, are really pushing something like this as well to educate the public for the safety aspect of things, especially in high-speed roadways. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner indicated a number of years ago that they don't want to be enablers. So the real reason is a safety issue with this. Where I work, I've mentioned before, for the last 3 to 4 years, the very same people have staked a claim to a lucrative intersection, and I've witnessed 2 of them who I've gotten to know had died of a heroin overdose. Excuse me, one of them died, one nearly died. Regarding the choice aspect of giving to panhandlers, yes, people will still have the choice to give. It's just we want to educate them that it's not the best choice. We ultimately believe that this will lead to a safer environment for those on the street. And additionally, I had learned that probably 75% of those on the street are addicted severely, according to a local homeless expert. So I'd like to turn it over to staff to further explain, or Angela Lawson, council member, for any additional information.
Yes, thank you, Steve. So I want to just, because I think there's been some misconceptions about what this is about and why I actually co-sponsored with Councilmember Sundberg. This does not stop panhandling. You're not going to stop panhandling. So that's not going to stop. This is not going to stop people from giving. If someone wants to roll down their window and still give at those corners, they can, or wherever they want to give. What I've seen is this is about safety. Just this morning, 8:15, I was heading down on Parker Road, straight down Parker Road to head to Denver. Along that side, there was panhandlers right there, right on the intersection before you even get underneath the underpass. That person almost got hit. And it's because the way people are driving, I'm looking at the welfare of the people who are actually panhandling, but also the drivers. I've seen animals go through the area, and I've also seen people when they're wanting to give. And then there's actually issues with the drivers getting into altercations with each other, which can cause significant issues, period. So to me, this is more about the safety issue along these, especially these narrow intersections and these narrow areas where the cars are so close to the people who are panhandling. And that's a dangerous situation. So this is not telling people they cannot give. If you want to give. But this might give someone the thought process to say, you know what, instead of, because some people like to give and give it to the person directly. There's something about that interaction. But this actually gives a person a choice, or an individual to decide, you know what, maybe I will give it to an organization that can help the individuals that are panhandling. So the idea to say that this is against the First Amendment, this is not a mandate, this is an education campaign specifically looking at some of the dangers of this for both the individuals that are panhandling and also the drivers. Thank you, Mayor.
Questions of the sponsors or staff?
Mayor.
Councilmember Coons.
So with that safety question in mind, I guess my question is, would it be better to have signs that address the safety issues versus the panhandling itself? Right, rather than saying donate to this other thing that you have to go to a website to find to donate, and then people are going to be on their phones. If they want to do that instead of donating, could we have something that talks about those safety issues and encourages people to keep clear of those intersections and those types of issues versus go to this website and donate, just as far as the safety is concerned?
Councilmember Lawson, do you want to respond? Councilmember Sundberg?
Regarding medians, I believe there's already a city ordinance restricting people from standing in medians. I don't think that's enforced too well. George, you might know better.
There is an ordinance, but there is in the backup information about the police officers more educating the individuals that are out there panhandling instead of issuing summonses. But there is an ordinance, yes.
Yeah. Further questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Can you, I could hardly hear you. Did you say that they are not allowed to be in the median, or they are, I mean, because I think to Council Sundberg's point and Councilmember Lawson's point of it being a safety issue, and some of the medians are quite narrow. So are they allowed to be in there?
There's an ordinance that does prohibit them being there, but there's also case law that, given their First Amendment rights, prevents the police department from issuing summonses.
Okay.
So it depends on the specific situation. And what I was referring to is that there are people that have been contacted by the police department, and the police officers have chosen to educate the individuals in lieu of issuing a summons to them. And that's in your backup.
Okay. Mayor?
Please proceed.
I'm in support of this because it is an educational campaign. It's not a mandate. Again, you can continue to give if you'd like. I think the main issue is the safety issue, because it is dangerous. It's a distraction for the drivers. It's dangerous for the panhandler. with their animals in the median or sometimes with their children. But also, if we truly are compassionate and we want to help people, I think the best way to help them is to be able to offer them resources. And we have excellent staff members that you know, do care about every single, you know, human being in our city. And if we can help them, that's the best way to go.
Further questions of the sponsors or staff?
Mayor?
Councilmember Coons.
I'm just wondering also if Spirit of Aurora, the board, has been approached at all about this?
Yes.
Councilmember Sundberg.
Mayor, yes. Ruben Medina, council member, I believe is the head. I contacted him, as well as Heather Dearborn. They're both aware of it, and Jessica Prosser has her hands in that entity as well, willing to upgrade the giving aspect of it, the actual donation button. It's largely set up and soon ready to accept donations.
Further questions of staff or sponsors of the staff? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Excuse me. Mayor?
Yeah.
I move to advance 11I, please.
It's been moved by Councilmember Sundberg, seconded by
Mayor, second.
Councilmember Lawson to approve item number 11I. Discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Zvonek.
Yeah, I just comment. I want to thank the sponsors for bringing this forward. I know there's been a lot of conversation this evening about the public safety aspect of it, which is important, but I also think that the comments that we heard from during Public Invited to be Heard is the exact reason we need this. We heard that giving to somebody can change their situation in the moment, but giving to an organization can change their life. And I think that that's what this will eventually do. And so I appreciate this being brought forward, because I do think this public education campaign will change the lives of many people who are on the sides of our roads right now. So
I think, unfortunately, that I recognize myself that giving to people that are panhandling, that are homeless, is simply enabling their behavior to continue. And by giving through organizations, I think that can help them make that transition out of homelessness into housing stability. Further comments or discussion? Councilmember Murillo.
Thank you. While I appreciate the proposed intention of this resolution, I really don't think this is a wise use of city resources. I don't think, we know, we've established that it's not going to end panhandling, and in terms of the safety aspect, I think I'm not seeing kind of the clear connection of how that would actually be reduced. So I just personally, I don't think I can support this particular resolution. I don't think it actually accomplishes what it's set out to do. So just wanted to share my perspective.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, sir. Likewise, I also appreciate, I think, the intent that the sponsors have with this, but based off of what we looked at in the backup, the comparable program out of Salt Lake City raised about $5,000 a year, so that's $1,370 a day. That's not enough to house one person, let alone feed them. And at that rate, it might take 6 or more years to even recoup the cost of what we're looking at just for the signs in our backup. There's a lot of folks, frankly, who already don't trust charities, whether they're city-sponsored or otherwise, and they would rather give money directly to themselves. We've already discussed that. People who want to give are going to keep giving. That was acknowledged by the sponsors as well. So I don't really think this is going to change that dynamic based off of the evidence that we have. I worked for 6 years on the 16th Street Mall, so I'm not sure what Senator Hickenlooper was talking about by the road home reduced panhandling down there by 92%. That was a daily occurrence. So I'm just not seeing the payoff for this kind of policy. I do share concerns about folks, being on medians and in traffic, but this isn't how we're going to change that. So I'm not going to support this moving forward.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Jurenski.
Yeah, I also very much am in support of this and want to thank the sponsors for bringing this forward. I quite frankly am tired of, I drive a lot of the same paths through Aurora, and I have seen, and Councilmember Sundberg as well, we've seen some of the same people for years that change their signs. every 3 to 4 months. And at first it's, they have a sick child, and next it's they're hungry, and next it's they're a war veteran, and I mean, on and on and on. It just doesn't end. I do know that there are people out there that are genuinely in need, but as has been stated multiple times, we have a lot of great city staff and resources and charities in place to help them. For those that want to make it their prerogative to continue to give cash money to these individuals on the side of the road, I personally feel you are enabling these people in this behavior. You can always donate food. If these people are truly in need and hungry, you can certainly donate food, and I am very much in support of this.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So to the point about behavior, which has been raised a couple of times, I think that goes contrary to what's been the stated intent of the sponsors, which is to help people who are experiencing homelessness, not stigmatize them. Calling experiencing homelessness and asking for help while homeless a bad behavior is stigmatizing. That's what it's doing. So whether or not, even though the sponsors, I know the intent is not to stigmatize, this discussion is producing greater stigma. And my concern is that we're going to keep reinforcing that in the way that we're approaching this. So that's for one. For two, I was approached by folks from Spirit of Aurora saying they had not been approached about this. And this didn't go to committee, as I discussed at study session. And also the backup had to be put together by staff within a week, and showed that really we're not collecting data on this issue to be even able to back this up. So my concern is just that we don't have data. We didn't go through any of the process that's expected to be gone through. So I'm not going to support it just from that point, as well as from the fact that this council is continuing to engage in stigmatizing statements when that's not supposed to be the intent.
Further discussion?
Mayor?
Councilmember Sundberg.
When it comes to stigma, I'd like to have the stigma of saving a life or two. When I work so closely at that intersection, I meet a guy named Luke. I've fed the guy. I've put him to work. Very able-bodied individual, a guy of strength from Canada, and he dies of a heroin overdose, and it saddened a lot of us that work around there. And he makes his way of living through panhandling when he could be choosing another path in life. I'm genuinely saddened by that, and it helps motivate me in a case like this. Regarding a committee, now if this would have went before one of your committees, it had a snowball's chance in hell of getting out of there and going to a study session, right? If we put the camping ban through one of your committees, it would not have made it either. The city would look like 1969 Woodstock by about right now with all the campers around. And now data collection, as far as something safe, a 4-year-old kid could grab a sharp chef knife on a counter and start running around the house with it. You don't have to do a study to determine that's not safe. Intuition and human nature knows that's not safe, and in a lot of cases, a lot of what we're observing here is it just reveals common sense. And again, on Spirit of Aurora, I have reached out to Heather Dearborn, and I've got emails in response to that. I've reached out to Ruben Medina and Jessica Prosser. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, question before us.
Mayor.
I'm sorry, Councilmember O'Connell.
Sorry. I don't even really know how to start responding to that. I empathize with you very strongly with the folks who died of a drug overdose. I want you to understand that what you're trying to do here, again, while I think is very well intentioned, would not have helped either of those two people significantly or substantially, or frankly, probably at all for the little bit that we saw that Utah, or Salt Lake rather, was raising. But I will say for the amount that we're going to spend on just the signs alone, you could put 2 people through permanent supportive housing for a year, and that would have saved their lives.
Further discussion?
Mayor, real quick.
Councilmember Murillo.
Just point of order. I don't know if Councilmember Sundberg's comments constitute a personal attack, but I recall that was not allowed in our rules of decorum.
I think the rules reflect attacking an individual personally, and I don't think I think you generalized. I don't think you did that. Further discussion?
Mayor.
Seeing none, question before us is the adoption of item number 11I. A motion to call for the question on the adoption of 11I, non-debatable motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Jurenski. Call for the question on the motion.
Mayor Kaufman,
Mayor votes yes.
the motion passes with 8 yes votes, 3 no votes from Councilmember Medina, Marcano, and Murillo to call for the question and end debate.
The question now before us is the adoption of item number 11I. Call for the question.
The motion passes with 7 yes votes, 3 no votes from Councilmember Medina, Marcano, and Murillo. The resolution 2022-166 has passed.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 14B.
Mayor, do you want to do a 5-minute break for the public call-in line?
Sorry, I accidentally hit yes, and I meant to hit no on that one. So can you just change that? Apologies.
Clerk, now please read the title of item number, let's see, 14B.
Call it break.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see, the time is now 7:47. Council will stand in recess until 7:52.
Members of the public who would like to speak on an ordinance and have not already spoken to an operator, please press star 3 before the item is called by the clerk. For those watching on Channel 8, call 855-695-3475 to be connected, and then press star 3. Council is taking a short break to allow any additional speakers to sign up. Please be patient and stay on the line until the operator is able to take down your information. Thank you.
Regular meeting of the Aurora City Council for August 22 is called back into order. Will the clerk please read the title to item number 14B? Where is the clerk? Oh,
Anybody want to sit in? No.
oh, did I? Oh. No, I said 7:52.
Yeah, you did.
Yep.
Oh, you did?
Monday.
Oh.
Chatting.
Okay. I was going to say, wait, what?
Mookie, if I don't get out of here by 9 o'clock, Mookie will be in doggy prison. Mookie is in daycare. They'll keep her overnight if I don't get. Okay.
For the sake of Mookie.
For the sake of Mookie. Okay, come on.
Cecilia.
Okay.
And I don't disagree with that. That's a lot like.
Will the clerk please read the title to item number 14B?
Item 14B, sorry, I'm out of breath. Resolution 2022-48 for an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending sections 14-134 and 14-135 of the city ordinance pertaining to keeping of ducks in residential areas. I'm so sorry.
Brief presentation by
I made it through the time.
brief presentation by staff.
Hello, I'm Augusta Allen. I'm the field supervisor for Animal Services, presenting adding ducks to what is currently our chicken ordinance. It would not change the amount of ducks allowed on a property or the amount of fowl allowed on a property currently. Would add into that that they are required to have water and specific sizes for their coop and pen. Angela, our city attorney, has helped to write in what would be those ordinance changes. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Questions of staff?
Mayor.
Councilmember Zvonek.
I do have one question, and I actually believe that it may have been Mayor Pro Tem brought this up during our conversation in study session, and that was we just passed an ordinance dealing with water use and water conservation, and does this, in any way, does the requirements of water for ducks run afoul of that ordinance?
Oh, no.
That.
No, bad.
No,
okay.
that's a serious question, though. I mean, does the amount of water that would be required to keep ducks safely in residence, contradict that water ordinance?
I'm not sure it would be much more than any other pet. Approximately.
It's 30 gallons.
I think I can answer that. It is not, I don't think that would be considered an ornamental water feature, and that's what the ordinance references.
Correct, like
Mayor Pro Tem.
things like that would be what we're referencing for the ducks, not something with a constant water feature.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Just to add to that before I ask my other question, is that it's from April to October that you need 30 gallons of water so that the duck can be in its own little normal, natural environment. Right?
Yes, without freezing. That's why we did October through April, is without having to have the water, because that'll avoid it sometimes anyways.
Okay, so my serious question is on enforcement and on the permitting process, because I know we allow the chickens, and so if you have 20,000 square feet lot or larger, you can have 4 ducks and 4 chickens, I think was the total. So how do we currently do that inspection? Because it says, you have to submit a plan of what your cage looks like, and then if there's, you have to keep it clean. How do we know that?
Currently, it's multi-department that we do that. So the plans are submitted through the planning department. They make sure that the coop is set up from the building and coded site, and then Animal Services just deals with the animal itself if we get calls similar to a dog barking or a dog running at large. So if the neighbors call and say, we think there's something wrong with the dogs or chicken, we would take that on a case-by-case basis to go inspect.
And have you had many violations?
Many is probably a strong word. We've had some. We've done it before, but many is not the right word.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion, Councilmember Jurenski.
Mayor, I have a question of staff. I just would like to know how you're going to handle calls about these ducks running into other people's yards. Because by the time you call and code enforcement gets out there or animal control gets out there, certainly the homeowner would have gathered their ducks. I don't know, you can truly have your ducks in a row, but I hope they would have gathered their ducks. How are we, if this is like a constant problem and ducks are running into other people's yards or flying into other people's yards all the time, how do you plan on dealing with that if you show up every time and there's no ducks in the person's yard?
The enforcement side will be very similar to a dog running at large. Actually, our section 14.5 is not just for dogs running at large, it's animal at large. So we can do cats, we can do dogs, we can do chickens, we can do ducks. And all the resident that's calling in that have the ducks going to their house, they can snap pictures. And we can see on the back end that we have evidence to take to court to be able to prove. And then if an owner has too many habitual offenses of the duck ordinance or the running at large ordinance, we can go to court through that manner of maybe not being the best owner to have these animals, and the judge gets to make that decision.
And I have another follow-up question.
Please proceed.
So at that point, is our animal shelter set up to have ducks? If we have to take these ducks from this owner who isn't keeping their ducks organized, is the animal shelter organized, prepared? Do they have the space? Do they have the wherewithal to have ducks in the shelter?
Space is a tricky one, but I will give you that we can house ducks. We can house certain animals for a short period of time. Ducks would be another one that's hopefully a short period of time. But yes, we can. In the summer months, we have outside runs, and in the winter months, we have rooms that they can be in. But that's why we're limiting them to only 8, because if we had multiple houses that had just whatever amount of ducks they wanted, then we'd be running into a problem.
Further questions of staff?
Mayor.
Councilmember Coons.
Mr. Youngblood, is there, are there like rescues and other entities that you kind of refer out to when the shelter is having any type of capacity issues, or after that short period that a duck would be present?
After the period of, we would have to own any animal for a certain period of time, which we call the stray period, to make sure that it's not owned and it can't be reclaimed again. Yes, livestock, we have some luck with certain ones. Like if we get into animals, say pigs, that's really hard. Goats are kind of tough. But ducks and chickens, roosters, because roosters are not allowed, but you can buy chicks and you don't know if they're going to be roosters or if they're going to be hens yet. So we get lucky with a lot of people will take roosters, and it is a farm that's not located in Aurora.
Further questions of staff?
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Do you have any concerns about quackery?
Oh, gosh. Councilmember Sundberg.
A noise may be an issue. That's actually a legitimate question. That is the one thing we have internally that we're worried. Ducks are going to be noisier than chickens, so people need to beware.
Councilmember Sundberg.
I have personally witnessed the rapid pitter-patter of webbed feet on a hardwood floor of a young duck. It's cute. But I have a question regarding the expiration of the animal if the owner wanted to consume it, whether it's a chicken or a duck. Well, you know.
Please proceed.
If died naturally, is okay.
It's in the ordinance, right? It's actually in the ordinance.
If died naturally, they're allowed to. They're not allowed to butcher on city property.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, question before us is the adoption of, what is it? 14B. Call for the question.
Mayor. Sorry.
Councilmember McConnell.
I don't think we moved it yet.
Oh. Motion is in order on 14B.
Mayor.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, sir. Okay, move 14B, please.
It's moved by Councilmember McConnell, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Murillo. Discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is adoption of item number 14B. Call for the question.
Councilmember Jurenski, we need your vote.
They can have
The motion passes unanimously to adopt ordinance 2022-48.
When's the last time you guys laughed this much on something?
It's been a long time.
Have a good night.
Good, let's see. Item number 15B, 15C passed unanimously at first reading and can be voted upon as a single item. Will clerk now please read the,
Mayor.
motion on item, will the clerk please read the title to item number 15A?
Mayor, do you want to do item 15B and C first as consent and then go through the rest of the items?
What's that, I'm sorry?
Do you want to do item 15B and C together as consent since they passed unanimously at the first?
Don't we do item number 15A first?
I don't believe we have to do 15A first, but I can do 15A first if we're going to do it.
Go ahead, let's do, please, will clerk please read the title to item number 15A?
Okay. 15A is ordinance 2022-43, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, approving the consolidated second amended and restated service plan for Green Valley Ranch East Metro District numbers 6 through 14, and authorizing the execution of an IGA between the City of Aurora, Colorado, and the districts.
Representation by staff.
I believe I've got a staff member on WebEx. There she is.
Yeah, good evening. Karina Dancy, Senior Project Manager for the Office of Development Assistance. The item before you is a consolidated second amended and restated service plan for the Green Valley Ranch East Metropolitan District numbers 6 to 14. The addition of language into the service plan allowing for inclusion of the property into ARDA is non-compliant with the model. However, this language is consistent with the previously approved service plan for District 6 to 8. The proposed district is located generally southeast of East 56th Avenue and Piccadilly Road, and the district will serve both residential and commercial development. The population is estimated to be approximately 8,500 residents.
Questions to staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem.
motion to approve 15A.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by?
Jurenski.
Seconded by Councilmember Jurenski to approve item number 15A. Discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So as discussed in study session, this goes to a 50-year repayment term or debt service term, which is beyond the service plan, and is $36 billion without any clear plan. It's just to give the flexibility so that the developer could do $4 billion anywhere or up to $36 billion. There's just not a clear plan and a clear financial plan, clear inclusion areas. And so I just continue to not support saying, here we go, just finance billions of dollars without a clear idea of what we're doing with those billions of dollars. So I will be a no.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
My understanding is that we, in the city, in our service plan, have a 50 mil levy cap, and that's adjusted for Gallagher.
That's correct.
So a homeowner would not be, wouldn't be assessed higher than that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then on the term, it could, even though it's authorized for 50 years, it could be shorter. Does that allow them the opportunity to refinance?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Or further questions to staff? Councilmember Coombs.
So to clarify, though, they are able to have a vote to override that 50 mils, correct?
Above the 50? That's correct. Yeah, that is correct.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Just clarification on that. Typically, has that happened, or would it be with the homeowner's vote?
That would be with the resident vote, typically, yes.
Okay.
The board once established.
Okay, and this debt is not just for the homes, it's also for all the infrastructure?
That's
correct. The water, the sewer lines, the roads that are built, and it's part of ARDA for regional improvement?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Zvonek.
I just want to clarify. So to raise the mills, it would require a mill levy override election, which would be a Tabor election, which would require the language to start off, shall taxes be raised by, and then fill in the number. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Great. So the taxpayers would clearly know that if they're doing it, they're raising their taxes because it would be in the first sentence of the language as per Tabor.
That's right.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So also to clarify, elections for metro districts can be held at any time, right? They don't have to be held at the same time as other elections are occurring. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And I know you probably don't have this information off the top of your head, but maybe since we keep having this discussion about hypotheticals, it could be helpful to have some information in our Metro District backup about the turnout of Metro District elections, as well as the number of districts within the city of Aurora that have exceeded that 50 mil cap.
Further questions to staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second.
What's that?
We have a motion
Okay,
and a second.
I'm sorry. Further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 15A. Call for the questions.
The motion passes with 6 yes votes, 4 no votes from Councilmember Medina, Marcano, Coombs, and Murillo.
Item number 15B and 15C received a unanimous vote in their first reading, so they can be taken together. A motion is in order.
Mayor, motion to approve 15B and C.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by
Zavonic.
Councilmember Marcano to approve item number 15B, 15C. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 15B, stand corrected, 15B, 15C. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt items 15B and 15C.
Great. Now, please read the title to item number 15D.
Item 15D is Ordinance 2022-46, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, enacting Section 138-191 of the City Code pertaining to the use of turf and ornamental water features.
Brief presentation by staff.
Mayor, members of council, this is the water conservation ordinance that came before you a couple of weeks ago and was voted on with a couple of floor amendments. In the process of adjusting one of the floor amendments, some language was inadvertently not caught. The floor amendment that proposed a study be commissioned after 36 months and then reported on to council after 39 months was in the amendment captured. The 36 months was captured accurately, but the 39 months was inadvertently left at 27 months. So we would like to correct that, and that is the only change being proposed.
Okay. Further questions of staff? Seeing none, Mayor Pro Tem?
So I don't need to make an amendment on the 30 gallons for the ducks?
No. Okay.
No.
Further questions of staff? Seeing none, I move item number 15D.
Second.
It's been moved by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Coombs. I move the amendment to change the number of months. Moved by mayor, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Gardner. A discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, further discussion on item number 15D. I just want to say that I certainly applaud council for passing this. I think it's absolutely important for us to rise up to the challenge of water conservation for a sustainable future. Call for the question on item number 15D.
Mayor, you had a motion and a second for the amendment, so that's what council is voting on right now. And then we'll go back to your original motion that you and Councilmember Coombs had.
Okay, so didn't we move the, I'm sorry, to the amendment, we have to vote on the amendment. Call for the question on the amendment.
The motion passes unanimously to approve the amendment to item 15D.
Call for the question on item number 15D as amended.
Councilmember Zavonic, we need your vote. The motion passes unanimously to adopt Ordinance 2022-46.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 17A.
Item 17A is Resolution 2022-167, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, finding a petition for annexation of a certain parcel of land located in the southwest quarter of Section 25, Township 3 South, Range 66 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, to be in substantial compliance with Section 3112-1071 CRS, and giving notice of a public hearing on the proposed annexation.
Brief presentation on item number 17A.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is a resolution finding a petition for the annexation to be in substantial compliance for a 5-acre parcel generally located east of Piccadilly Road and north of 26th Avenue. The proposed resolution finds that this proposed annexation meets substantial compliance with the state statute and provides a notice of public hearing on this annexation. The parcel falls within the city's annexation boundary and meets contiguity requirements. The initial zoning ordinance will be presented to City Council subsequent to the annexation process and will follow the city's comprehensive plan and be consistent with zoning for similarly adjacent projects and parcels. The annexation process follows state law, and this annexation will be considered over the next 3 council meetings. Actually, 3 council meetings. The public hearing will be dated for September 26, 2022. That is the first step in this process here before you this evening. And there's no formal presentation from the outside representatives on this item, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions to staff on item number 17A? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor, motion to approve 17A.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by
Sundberg.
Seconded by Councilmember Sundberg to approve item number 17A. Discussion?
Thank you.
See no discussion. The question before us is the adoption of item number 17A. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-167.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 17B.
Item 17B is Resolution 2022-168, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, finding a petition for annexation of a certain parcel of land located in the west half and southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 3 South, Range 66 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, to be in substantial compliance with Sections 3112-1071 CRS, and giving notice of a public hearing on the proposed annexation.
Brief presentation by staff.
I apologize, I forgot to introduce myself in the first item. Jacob Cox, Manager of Development Assistance. So this item, similarly, is a resolution finding the petition for annexation in substantial compliance. This parcel is roughly a 161-acre parcel located southeast of Harvest Road and 26th Avenue. The proposed resolution finds that the proposed annexation meets substantial compliance with state statute and provides the notice for public hearing on the proposed annexation. The parcel falls within the city's annexation boundary and meets contiguity requirements. There is a master plan being pursued concurrently with this annexation. It is proposed to be fully commercial. The initial zoning ordinance, again, will be presented to City Council subsequent to the annexation ordinance and process, and it will follow the city's comprehensive plan and be consistent with the zoning for similarly adjacent projects. Step 1 of the city's process before you this evening, Council considers approval of the resolution making a finding that the petition is in substantial compliance with statutory requirements and sets that public hearing date for September 26, 2022. Again, no formal presentation from outside representatives, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions of staff on item number 17B.
Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I know that this is all these annexations are just that preliminary step that states that they're in compliance. So at the public hearing, then will that include any kind of fiscal analysis?
No, fiscal analysis is not typically part of the annexation process, but there is a fiscal analysis going that we've talked about in the northeast area. That is to amend the city's comprehensive annexation boundary, but it's not typically part of these projects coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on item number 17B of staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor, motion to approve 17B.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by?
Bergen.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bergen to approve item number 17B. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, question before us is the adoption of item number 17B. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-168.
Clerk, now please read the title to item number 17C.
Item 17C is Resolution 2022-169, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, finding a petition for annexation of a certain parcel of land located in the west half and the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 3 South, Range 66 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, to be in substantial compliance with Section 3112-1071 CRS and giving notice of a public hearing on the proposed annexation.
Brief presentation by staff.
Yes, this item before you is a resolution finding that petition for annexation and substantial compliance for a roughly 147-acre parcel located again southwest of Harvest Road and 26th Avenue. This is affiliated with the prior item, and the proposed resolution finds that this annexation meets substantial compliance with state statute and provides that notice of public hearing for September 26, 2022. No formal presentation for outside reps, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of staff? Seeing none, motion is in order.
Mayor, motion to approve 17C.
Moved by Councilmember Gardner, seconded by
Coombs.
Councilmember, I'm sorry, Coombs to approve item number 17C. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of item number 17C. Call for the question.
The motion passes unanimously to adopt Resolution 2022-169.
Will the clerk please read the title to item number 19A?
Item 19A is consideration to appoint 5 members and reappoint 2 members to the Citizens Advisory Committee for Housing and Community Development.
Motion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
move to appoint Joshua Deeker, Richard Berg, Erica Ponder, Rose Armstrong, and Christopher Boyd to the Citizens Advisory Committee on Housing and Community.
Moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by? Seconded by Councilmember Medina to approve item number 19A. Discussion? Seeing none, question before us is the adoption of item number 19A. Call for the question.
Mayor Kaufman?
Mayor votes yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously to adopt item 19A.
Reports. Report by the mayor. First of all, I want to really thank our staff in the International Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, as well as, I believe, PROS, for putting on an absolutely extraordinary Global Fest last Saturday. And I also, after that, I went, spent 6 hours with APD in District 2, and just extraordinary. I saw just the most amazing work by our police department when an individual who's having a mental health crisis in one of the motels along Colfax had literally punched through both of the walls in adjoining rooms and was exhibiting threatening behavior and was seen brandishing a knife. And so the CRT team came up, crisis response team, actually an officer was trained. We're short, as every department is short, and we're also short therapists. And so it was a CRT team without the therapists, but with a CRT trained officer, as well as Officer Joe Valdez, who I was with, who was CIT trained, crisis intervention team trained, and had known the suspect from a prior incident and was familiar with the suspect. And to watch the two of them be able to talk this individual down who was barricaded in this room with a weapon and be able to connect with the individual and show really not just compassion, but really empathy towards the individual and to really took the time, as there were other officers armed, just in case, in the hallway, but just took the time to really say, really dissect the problem as to why the person was having a mental health crisis. And the person did lay down their weapon and allowed the APD officers to come in and he was apprehended, but showed extraordinary work that if it was just a law enforcement response without that training, I don't think it could have gone very badly, not just for the individuals potentially, but for the officers as well. Councilmember Lawson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one update from the Federal, State, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Both the House and the Senate are on recess until after Labor Day. They will reconvene in September for a few weeks to work on the fiscal year end on September 30th before heading into the 2022 elections. We are meeting with our state delegation to build relationships and prepare for the 2023 session. Departments have submitted their proposed state and federal priorities, and those will be shared with the Pfizer and full council this fall. And that's all I have, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Gardner.
Thank you, Mayor. Just first wanting to congratulate Tina Bonetta. She received the Communications Center Director of the Year from the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials, so that's great and speaks to Tina's leadership. And I know they are still short on employees, so if anyone is interested in working as a 911 communicator, I'm sure they can use you. And then also just want to mention this Thursday, August 25th, the at-large council members will host a town hall at Beck Recreation Center. That's it.
Councilmember Jerminski.
Yes, just also want to echo that we have our at-large town hall this Thursday night, 6 p.m. at the Beck Recreation Center. And then also, it was stated at the beginning of the meeting, but I worked with the animal shelter to get the fees reduced for adoption for the month of August, and we received an email today that the shelter can no longer accept surrendered or stray dogs until further notice, because more animals are being surrendered than people are going in and adopting. So please, if you are thinking about getting any animal, please visit the Aurora Animal Shelter, and all adoption fees are 50% off right now.
Councilmember Zvonek.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. About a month ago, I had an opportunity to meet with the mayor and a group of business leaders on the Havana Business District to talk about retail theft and the impact that it's having on businesses in our city. As a response to that, leadership within the Aurora Police Department presented at the last public safety meeting a plan, again, recognizing it's a serious issue and there's limited staff within APD. They brought forward a plan to partner with our businesses to identify those prolific thieves and try to crack down on them. And as was mentioned earlier this evening by my colleague, Councilmember Durinsky, on September 8th at the next public safety meeting, she's going to be bringing forward an ordinance that she's been working on that will further crack down on this very serious issue that's troubling our city. So I would encourage everybody who's interested in learning more about what we're going to try to do to crack down on retail theft in our city to tune in on Thursday, September 8th for our public safety meeting. It's 8:30 in the morning. Thanks.
Councilmember Murillo.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to give a shout out to the organizers of the Eco Fiesta in the district this last weekend, and that I'm having my regularly scheduled Ward 1 Town Hall this Thursday at 6 p.m., and it will be at the Moorhead Recreation Center. We'll also have a virtual option as well. Thanks so much.
Councilmember Sundberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Just someone indicated this panhandling thing was thrown together in a week, but I want to correct that, but really compliment the staff of the city. George in legal, a couple of months ago, did a lot of legal research on this matter and about other cities, as well as Kim Stewart in communication and the graphics art department, which months ago put together examples of artwork for that, and it was just a pleasure to work with them. In Ward 6, we recently got to see the Southeast Recreation Center in close to completion, and what a beautiful facility that the city should be very proud about. Recently, Councilmember Marcano and I got to see the Walden 35 housing development, the Aurora Housing Authority, one of, I think, 20 affordable housing projects underway in Aurora, and what a first-class project that is, seeing a lot of people come together to make that happen. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just letting you know my town hall will be Wednesday, September 7th, 6:30 to 8 at the Active Adult Center off 6th and Peoria. Thank you.
Councilmember McConnell.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to start out by saying that Global Fest was an incredible success. It was really awesome to actually see our community back out and about. The performances were great. The food was really stellar, and I am really looking forward to next year's event. So second, our next family safety check is coming up this Saturday, August 27th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to be over at 12900 East Mississippi Avenue in the McDonald's parking lot. So that is in Ward 4. So you can come out and get steering wheel locks, gun locks, prescription drug disposal bags, and catalytic converter labels, and free ice cream for the kids. All of that is while supplies last. And then our next Ward 4 meeting is going to be on Thursday, September 8th at 6:30 p.m. Over at Colorado Early Colleges. That's 1400 South Abilene. Our featured speakers are going to be Aaron Pilniak and Jeff Schlanger with IntegraSure, which is the city's consent decree monitor. And we're going to have a conversation about the consent decree, what it is, and where the city is at. And as always, we'll have Q&A on the presentation and then open Q&A afterwards. So I hope to see you all there.
Councilmember Coombs.
Thank you, Mayor. So this meeting, this month, Dr. Cog did not have a meeting. That's because we're currently accepting public comment on the changes to the MetroVision Regional Transportation Plan to address the state greenhouse gas reduction goals. So if folks want to learn more about that plan and the proposed changes and give public comment on those changes, you can go to drcog.org, and there's information right there on the home page. I also, just this last week, completed the program, or no, it was the week before, the program with Water Education Colorado. It's their water fluency program, which was a 4-session, 4 full days of information about water policy and water issues impacting the state of Colorado. And I will follow up with Councilmember Sundberg about giving a report on what I learned at the Water Policy Committee. We had both of our Ward 5 town halls for the month of August this last week. The first one was at Heather Gardens, and we talked about multimodal transportation and got some really great feedback from the folks who attended on how they would like to see multimodal transportation implemented within the city moving forward. And the second was on Saturday at Mission Viejo Library, where Marshall Brown was able to talk about water, including the conservation ordinance, as well as other issues that we're facing as a city and a state, and talk a little bit about the upcoming rate increases for next year, which is important information for folks to have. And then I was able to go to Global Fest after the town hall meeting, and it was wonderful, and we got some nice cooling rain at the end of the day. So thank you all and have a good night.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Sundberg, for actually setting up the tour of the Southeast Rec Center. It was great to see the progress on it, so we're looking forward to the grand opening early next year. I'm on the Colorado Opioid Region 9 committee, so we had that meeting, and in addition, I attended the Colorado Opioid Abatement Conference on the 15th and the 16th, which was very interesting, had a lot of panel discussions on different topics. Also want to say congratulations to Tina Bonetta for her award. It's well-deserved, and that's all for me.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.